So I've had these messages on my phone pop up recently. Like one, I think, was through the Pattern app, and the other was through Angel Numbers. And I mean, that one really depends on whatever time I click into it, the different messages that come up. But they're talking about like the end of a phase and out with the old and in with the new, kind of a thing. And the 27th was the last day I did a video, so that was a couple days ago. And I was going to do one yesterday, but like I was so aggravated because I was having issues getting the previous day's video loaded to my computer so I could upload it to YouTube, and it just was not working out. Tears may have been shed. I don't remember. It feels like I was annoyed enough that it could have been. Had to download a bunch more storage to be able to have the space to do that. So I did. But yeah, when I was doing the video on the 27th, it felt kind of like the end of a phase. And I think a big part of that was that like I had one last story that I was kind of sharing, that it was just like old drama, blah, whatever. But then by the end of the video, it's like it felt like it shifted more into who I see myself as more. And since I have been thinking on that line, I've been having some thoughts the past couple of days that I really wanted to do a video for to talk about. And now I don't know exactly where to start. So, yeah, like I think one of the last things I was talking about on the Thursday video was just being goofy and talking about in time the right people will find me endearing or whatever. Yeah. But it feels really quiet out here today, so I feel like I'm kind of talking low on that end. I don't think it's necessarily any more so than normal, but whatever, it's weird. So, okay, today's big thought was that, okay, first off, since this feels like the start of phase 2, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, guess we'll find out in time. I thought I'd start with something a little different, right? So this time, I'm always talking about these notebooks. And so I have these, they're journals basically, but they are the ones that I've been using to write to my twin flame in. And so this is the first of them. Got number 1 up here, but it's in green, so you can't really see it. 2. 3. And 4. Yes, it looks just like 2, but it is not. And that's where I'm at in it, because I'm like cranking it out. I spend a lot of time writing in these things. You know, and I've talked about how they're also kind of the rough draft of the book that I'm supposed to be writing, or have always felt like I was supposed to write. So this is kind of rough draft material, and in the meantime, journaling to the twin flame kind of material. So, yeah. I was going to read a little bit out of the first one, just because it's different. And this is, I feel like it's necessary for you to see any, well, I mean, like we're not going to read it here in a second, but 1524. So this is the crazy shit that's my world. So I started this in January, and writing. I think it was like October when, okay, September, October was the rough time frame for when I set intentions and decided to let the universe have control over my career path and love life. Yeah. And when I did the piercings and set the intention that I would never again work in a job that required me to be anything less than 100% who I am. So, very big important points there. Very hugely relevant to this whole thing. So I think that was roughly, well, I don't remember if it was the end of September or the beginning of October when I actually figured out who he was. But yeah, it's in this entry on 1524. But I'm not reading you that information. It is on a whole different page. And there's a couple of them that I was going to read. So I'm just going to read. How about I shut up and read right? Okay, it says, I am growing, evolving. Nothing is as it was months ago, and that's a good thing. I find myself in the stance between worlds, existing between what was while not yet where I will be. This current place I find to be a bit lonelier than I'd prefer, and I know I'm not alone and never have truly been, yet I long for the connection and physical touch of another. Yesterday you were so close I could practically feel you. I can imagine you holding my hand as I lean against your shoulder with your arms wrapped around me, pulling me tightly to you. We've never met on this earthly plane yet. We've known each other through lifetimes, likely not together physically, as everything I've seen up to now says twin flames don't usually incarnate together except for in the final incarnation. But how can anyone know all there is as facts in spiritually based concepts? For this notebook, never previously contaminated by stories of the past, I'm telling a new story. And of course I will revisit the recent past from time to time as it's an important part of the journey I found myself on. It's kind of a jagged line between the old story and the current story, where one ends where another begins. I plan to stick with my green ink as much as possible as this story is relevant to the growth and development of my heart chakra. Sorry. Which has felt shut off for the majority of my life. But I am opening more and more as I get increasingly ready for you to make your way into my life. Even this feels different. I've always known at some level that writing was of the utmost importance to our story. I tried writing to you many times in the past, but could never find momentum to keep them going when I had no idea who you were. There were a couple times I started with someone else in mind, but those ended up serving only to alleviate the pain of the past coming out. I had another notebook I found right before I found this one that had more of the old story, and I tore those pages up and put them in my trash can, but the notebook didn't even feel right. I may go back and burn them along with old stories hidden away in my desk drawer I saved, thinking they'd also be relevant somehow, but I realize more and more that the stuff before you just needs to die because life isn't there. I had forgotten all about this notebook, and then I found it. It seemed perfect. I'd barely written today's date when I felt a strong urge to pull some Oracle of the Unicorns cards, and the very first card was the Beloved card. It's been following me for some time. The guidebook says, your heart yearns to be united with your beloved and enjoy a blissful, sacred relationship together. This pair of loving unicorns want to reassure you that your joyful union is coming soon, but there is some preparation to do. To receive your divine partner, you must first love yourself deeply and know you are lovable. Be honest about how you judge or dishonor yourself, and then be willing to treat yourself with the love, care, and nurture you want your beloved to hold you in. If you long for a partner who cherishes you, first cherish yourself. If you want to be with someone full of joy, be joyful yourself. If you want to be respected, begin by treating yourself with respect. Making these shifts may mean embarking on a healing journey back into wholeness. Be courageous in releasing the core wounds in your heart that keep you from feeling worthy. Be willing to forgive previous partners and surrender your stories of hurt and heartache. Readily transform old beliefs and programming around love, relationships, marriage, and sex. Be gentle with yourself and know that each old wound or belief you release brings you closer to your beloved or opens your heart to a greater love. Allow romance to happen without hurrying it. Connect with your future love on a soul level and send them energy from your heart. Let them know you are doing the inner work to be ready for them or deepen your journey together, and share your dreams of the beautiful future you will have together. Okay, so that's all I'm reading out of that one. I'm not reading about the others. But that's my start point. And it rained a little bit ago, so I have a cushion, and then I have my notebooks on so they don't get all wet, and Gidget's on it too, so I'm messing her up. Yeah. Anyway, now she could put her paw in it. That's lovely, thank you. Hopefully it's not dirty. If it is, oh well, what can I say? I'll only be really relevant for a few people anyway, so. Yeah. So the other thing I've been thinking a lot about the past couple of days was that, you know, another thing I ended with on the last video was talking about how part of my purpose right now is just getting out and being seen by as many people as possible. And perhaps it sounds vapid and whatnot, but whatever. That is what the purpose is. 11/11. So, yeah. And I was thinking about it, and it's like, okay, with my hair color and just the way I am in general, like, I stand out in the crowd. I'm meant to, right? The Pattern app was the one that said that I'm not meant to blend in. So that's me. And so I've been, like, it doesn't matter. I don't have to do anything in particular. Just go and be around people. And I might talk to people. I might not. You know, but usually people tend to notice me. So I frequently get comments about my shoes matching my hair, and, you know, okay, well, I mean, the 80s gear today, awesome since 1983. Yep, that's me. Colorful head to toe. It's just how I am. All my magnificent bracelets and rings, forgot them. I don't always wear them. And I had the fidget spinner ring on my right pointer finger, and if it's too hot out, then I can't put it on. They didn't have half sizes in the rings, and I should have gone the next size up. But I mean, it's only an issue when it's hot, and when it's cold it'll work, right? So, or when it's not hot per se. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this is me. And so I feel like part of it is just being noticed, because I mean, I get a lot of comments. I mentioned the shoes matching the hair. The other day I had some woman, when I was walking out of Walmart, that got all excited and was like, I love everything. Just like the hair, the outfit, everything. It's like, yeah. The earrings, yeah. I get comments. But even when I don't, it's just what I was thinking about earlier is it kind of feels like, energetically speaking, I'm just going around and just kind of tapping people on the shoulder, getting their attention for the bigger things to come. Ziva. I don't know if you heard Ziva fart in this one, but hey. Let me just show you my kids. We're all tight right now and spinning. So here's Ziva by my shoe, and Tazzy and Gidge with my books. Yeah, how you doing? I will say they are all slightly stoned today. We had a big storm come through a little bit ago, and Gidget's terrified of storms, and Taz is kind of, he doesn't like them, and sometimes he kind of acts up. He was a little anxious, so they got their trazodone. I think it's trazodone. Yeah, trazodone. Before the storm. And Ziva, see, it was supposed to storm early today too, so I had these hemp calming treats, and I was trying to give the bigger two their two as per the treats per weight ratio, and did not realize that they both spit theirs out until the second ones for both of them, and Ziva got all of them, so she had like probably like 5 of these things, and she's the one that's only supposed to get one. So a picture earlier where she's laying there and she just looks stoned out of her mind. Yeah, she's my hellion that likes to do things like that. She and Taz shop in the pantry if it's not blocked off, and are notorious for, if they can access the containers of treats, they will open them and eat them all. And there was something that was like a vet prescribed thing we were trying for one of the Shelties, and Ziva got into them and ate them all, and they're like, well, it might be an upset belly, because I had like the online emergency vet contact person, so I could ask questions for her. I've had to do that at least twice with her, I think. Yeah, and him once, I think. Anyway. But yeah, we're all stoned, so we're just sitting here all chill. And it's just the 4 of us here. Well, and the birds and the lone bearded dragon. But yeah, they don't do much. The dragon doesn't do anything. The birds are in their cages. They talk a lot, but that's that. So anyway, I'm going around just kind of energetically tapping people on the shoulder, and otherwise staying under the radar. Do my little videos. I think I'm up to 9 subscribers now, so that's kind of fun. And, I'm... Okay, so as I was thinking about this whole thing with, just tapping people on the shoulder energetically, I watched a Nordic Light tarot reading, and she said something that kind of... I don't remember exactly what it was, because I've watched a couple other things and now I don't exactly remember. But like everything she was talking about seemed relevant to exactly that, and just like being somehow noticed but not really, it's that slow build thing, like they gaining momentum. And I had to start sharing my story before the next part would be revealed, right? I don't know if that's a firework or probably a firework. I'm rolling with fireworks, because, yeah, there's storms in their south, but yeah, whatever. Anyway. Now I totally forgot where I was. So, yeah, that video was like confirming everything, and then I watched another one, and it was like magnetize yourself, and she was just talking about I'll give you the name of the video, because it was just one that I happened to caught, and it's like, oh, that got my attention. If I can figure out where to put that. I quoted her in a few spots. Okay, name of the video. You feel this soul connection pulling on you in a strong way because there's something fated taking place here. They're mirroring you more than you realize, but they're at a different level of consciousness, so they think about this connection in a different way. And she was talking about that same thing. It's like, maybe I'll find that section. Talking about contact is like a slow burn that grows you know, and everything that's happening is more at the energetic level or subconscious level, and like people might not think anything about it, and then, you know, somehow like there's also this connection. But then if we like actually talk, then maybe I stay there a little more, kind of a thing. So, and yes, I say I, but I do not mean exclusively I, because these videos are always for the collective, and so there's like a group that is going through this whole thing, right? So, you know, this is just how it pertains to me. So on the Nordic Light video, as well as the Magnetize Yourself video, I both commented, or I commented on both of this. And I was thinking, it's like, that's kind of like just doing that too. You know, I even mentioned that. It's like, I said in both of them that I feel like I'm just going around just kind of tapping people on the shoulder and otherwise staying under the radar. But when the time comes and then people start, well, then people have any reason to put my face with who I am, they'll realize they came in contact with me because they were always kind of connected to me in a way, energetically. Yeah. What are you doing, bud? You want to get cozy? So yeah. Both of those. I also was talking about, you know, one of the things, as I've said here many times, is this person has more of a following than I do with my whole 9 subscribers at this point in time. But, you know, and it's like the first 3 stressed me out so much that I cried. And then now I'm just kind of like, cool, glad you're here. And, you know, I feel like even when I comment on other people's videos, and I've talked about before how that doesn't always go well sometimes, I start rambling, get on a tangent, have a big long thing, two, and then suddenly lose it because I accidentally hit the wrong button when I was trying to scroll or something. But when I do go back and comment or whatever, get just not sure if it's thundering. She don't like thunder or fireworks, but she's stoned, but still kind of not happy. So we might keep this one short today. But anyway, you know, now when I find to have another subscriber, it's like, hey, yeah, cool, glad you're here. Yeah. So there's that. And oh yeah. And then I was thinking about, I fell absolutely in love with the song a few years ago, and it's Sister Hazel's Everything Else Disappears. Hold on. All right, come here. You want to sit by me? Come here. We might have to call it here so real soon. She's a little bug-eyed and stressed. Ooh, lightning bug. Come in. Or not. Or not. Don't say I didn't ask. So anyway, the song. And like one of the things like I write periodically, it's just like there's been a bunch of different things where I just kind of think he is the sun, I am the moon. And part of that is like the whole energy thing, like, okay, divine masculine is the sun, divine feminine, the moon. Part 1. There's like several other things in there. But so I kind of have that idea that comes up pretty often. It's just like, oh yeah, that point again. There's that again. And then in the song that, I mean, it's on my playlist, which has like 5 hours of songs, and I usually just hit play and shuffle and let it do whatever it does. And this song, Everything Else Disappears, comes up a lot. And one day it really just like smacked me upside the head when one of the lines was, we talked for hours about the sun and the moon, how he chases her around and around, just trying to light up her face. It's like, there's something to that. You know, and I know my videos tend, like, I never know how to start them, so they always feel kind of awkward when I first, like, go into them. So I know from my personal experience, when I go to one and it does, like somebody else's video, and it doesn't get my attention right away, I may not stay there unless I just feel like I'm supposed to. Um, Poor kitty girl. Yeah, so it would not surprise me if a lot of people don't stay. That's okay. You know, and I feel like it takes me a while to warm up and to get to the point of, like, whatever it is I was wanting to talk about. And you know, then I'm kind of scattered, and it's like that whole spiral thing. Just running around I go. Figure out what's meant to happen, I guess. I don't know. So it's like, even that, it's just that little tap on the shoulder. So I just kind of, I found myself doing that a lot today. Like, I like energetically sending vibration, energy to others. What others? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll know when we know. And you know, I've always kind of had that feeling too. Like, I've written about this one thing several times, and not just in these notebooks, like on my computer and other things I've actually written. A little tribute kind of a thing after he died, but with he'll come back to me. Oh, there was this moment in high school, like the last week, and it was kind of a little bonding moment with my drumline counterpart, because the friend that died, Tyler. So I had to stay. I was really kind of depressed, and I think it might have been one that I had debated on skipping, like the last class of the day, which was a band blow-off class, because I was like having this like big suicidal ideation kind of time, because of something in the lunchroom. And it was basically somebody trying to pull me into the old stories, and I don't remember if it was Paul or Tyler, to be honest, about which one, you know, because there was this kind of one of the mean girls, if you will, who me and the guy I was walking with were laughing and joking, because we had a good lunch, and it was last class of the day, last week of the grade school career, all that fun stuff. And you know, she looks at him and says, kind of a, what are you doing? Like, why are you with her, kind of a thing. And like, they just kind of shook their head and laughed it off, and were like, nah, she's cool, you know. And like, that was, we continued walking in the same direction, but I veered to the other door. They were going straight to the band room, and I went to the bathroom that was outside of the lunchroom before I went there. And you know, that was one of those things. It was like, after that, she just decided she's coming back. I decided that, or I went to the bathroom and thought about going home and trying again. And when I went back to the classroom, we had like 7-minute periods in between classes and breaks and whatever. And unless it was an academic lab day, those were shorter ones. But because then you were going back to the same class, you didn't have to run across the school or anything. But the regular ones, since I was going from the lunchroom to the bathroom to the band room, they were all like right there together, and it didn't take me long. So I go into the band room, and I was depressed and not in a good headspace at that point in time. And I went to my marimba that I had played so much the last 2 years going into that moment. And, I was like the first person to play this one, and I very much loved that thing and always called it my marimba. And, everything that we had to learn, I wanted to learn on that. Like, I didn't want to play anything else. So that was my thing. And since I was section leader, it kind of worked out for me. Yeah. So, like, I picked up the mallet, and people are kind of coming in, anybody that wasn't a senior was getting ready to actually play because they had graduation coming up that they had to perform at. And the rest of us, we had nothing else to do, so we were just kind of milling around until it was time to do something, which for the seniors was go out into the hallway and play hacky sack or whatever. But, I picked up the mallet and just kind of dropped it on the keyboard, and it, like, some random note, and it felt kind of like a call for help. And I've always kind of like seen this moment in my life, and it's been surrounded, like, it's made me think of, okay, when I was 8 and I almost drowned in the ocean because I got caught in an undertow. Like, I went under the water, and like all I could see was like the foam and the color of the water and that kind of stuff, and it felt like that, but it was just muddy. And it felt like when I hit that note, like it was sending a cry for help out into the universe. I always know that sounds silly, but and I probably haven't expressed it exactly as such before, but that's what it felt like to me. And like almost immediately after that, Tyler came over, and like he grabbed a random mallet from one of the other keyboards, and like he was standing on the other side of it, and he just started mirroring back everything I did. And it was kind of like, like this random game we just made up in the moment. Not playing anything in particular, just seeing if he could keep up, and him trying very hard to keep up, even though he was playing it exactly mirrored to what I was doing. And it was fun. And at a time that I was having a very rough moment, all at once there he was, and it was just like it changed the whole energy of the situation. And then there was something fun happening. And then, as we're standing there playing this little game, we've got a small crowd of our friends gathering around. It's like, hey, okay. But it felt like basically a cry for help that was answered. And like, I don't remember necessarily the muddiness. I mean, I kind of do, the muddy feeling in the moment, but as I look back into it, it's like that, it just felt like it was just surrounded by like muddy water, and kind of like that drowning scenario all over again. So yeah, I don't remember why I went there now. As much as things change, they always stay the same, right? Yeah. Well, phase 2, still me. Yeah. Still got the weird stuff to think through. Brain still works the same way. Thoughts are slightly different. I feel like I'm at a much higher frequency than I ever was, and am increasingly becoming more of who I'm supposed to be and who I came here to be. So that's fun. But yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before I wrap it up, or if I just want to wrap it up at 35 today. Since my dogs are a little stoned and concerned about whatever they're hearing. It's just like a rumble. It's not a train because it's not that close. It's not completely road noise. So it very well could be storms, because there's still storms south of us, but they're pretty, at least a half-hour drive south of us. But, you know, you still hear that shit, so yeah. Anyway, I'm hoping that the storage that I have on my computer so I can save this doesn't decrease the quality of everything now, because the one I tried to watch earlier, it looked, well, I watched them on my phone, but I clicked into it to see if it had loaded right, since it was a whole new storage system, and trying to figure out how to get to everything, and where I pulled it from to put it on the YouTube thing was not the same way I've ever done it before, because I couldn't just go into the drag or the drop file thing and find it. I had to drag it from a different screen that I knew it was on and drag it there. And it seemed like the quality might not have been spectacular. So hopefully that wasn't the case. Hopefully, if that was the case, it's not a permanent thing. Well, it's not permanent either way, because one of these days I'll have something other than just this phone. I'll have somebody who actually knows what they're doing on any of this stuff, or like actual stuff that's not just my phone and my crappy computer that I will soon need to, one day need to replace. We're not going to speak that into existence before I have the financial situation to do it. You know, it's given me the blue screen of death once, and my computer buddy was able to go in, and I think I had to get like a new hard drive or something for it, but yeah, I'm still using the same computer, so it's just been redone, and I got it, I think, back in 2014, because I was still working in a job that, you know, they had payment plans for specific computers, and it was the computer that I chose from the specific plan that they had, and then they kind of took money out on my paycheck until it was paid off, so it worked well. But it's a little aged, so eventually that'll be something that has to happen. But, you know, and since I'm trying to do storage stuff, you know, and the worst part about any of them is the freaking email address I used to have was connected to my ex, and so it's still that name. It's like, I don't want that name on there. I have gone in many times trying to figure out how to clear this one part out, and it won't go away. Like, I've deleted that email address, so I don't have access to it anymore. I don't want access to it anymore. And still it's there. Should probably take it back to the techie friend and see if he has any thoughts on that. But yeah, pick your battles. Eventually I will. Right now there's other stuff to pay for. But yeah, that was completely irrelevant. Just a random story that doesn't pertain to anything necessarily. So yeah, it sounds like thunder. Might be moving this direction. I'm a little gidgy here. I'm still staring at the sky, so I'm going to call it. And in the meantime, I'm just going to go around, you know, kind of tapping myself on the shoulder and just sending energetic vibes to get people's attention, like, hey, hey. You know, and then when something happens, it'll be like, hey. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you, and until the next time, see you later.